Hello, everyone. Welcome to Latina Professionals. Excited to see you at the start of this week here in July. If you're watching this recording, it's another month. That's totally okay. Whether you're here live or you're watching this recording, definitely let us know in the comments here to what your name is, your profession, and what your goal is for this session. I really tried to look at what your goal is for the session and make sure that we're incorporating it as we go along. Additionally, this network through Latina Professionals is your network. Do not hesitate to connect with me here on LinkedIn, as well as connect and follow the many people who are here at this session today. And for today's session, you are definitely in the right place if you're here for building a strong stage presence, inspiring the room. Often, when folks think about their presence, their sense of being on the stage, whether it is a literal stage or just being on Zoom with the camera on for the first time in a while, it's really important to get a sense of what are the elements of that presence and what are the small things you can do even today that will help you feel more inspirational as you take on those various stages as well. Alrighty, seeing folks commenting, connecting here on LinkedIn, fantastic. Again, don't hesitate to connect with me, Sammy Walker Herrera, as speaker here. I come on these live sessions at noon Eastern time on Mondays. And so I hope if this is a helpful start to your week, that it is as helpful as possible. So going back to that, let us know where you're joining from, what industry you're in, and what you're looking to learn today. I really do look at every single comment each one of you post. And after these sessions too, I stick around just for a little bit longer to answer any questions I wasn't able to during the live session. But again, you're here in the right place if you're here for building a strong stage presence and learning how to inspire the room. Excellent. Seeing folks come in for this session. Fantastic. If you know someone who needs to watch this recording or needs to be here live, definitely share that link with them as well. I'm here every Monday at noon Eastern, and you'll see so many other Latina professional coaches such as Danny, Norma, Alexandra is going to be hosting her session on Latina Mamas as well. And to introduce myself a bit further, whether this is the first time you've joined one of these sessions or this is your fifth, sixth, seventh time, that's totally fine. I still love to introduce myself to give just a little bit more context of why I do what I do. And so what I do is I work with high-level executive leaders on their public speaking fear. Now you heard that right. There are a lot of people who are in the higher level or aspiring to that higher level of career success, but recognize that there's a barrier in front of them when it comes to where they're going next. And sometimes that barrier is not just communication skills. It really is that fear of putting ourselves out there to inspire the rest. Through building a speaking habit, sharing my feedback as an expert, and providing strong accountability to make sure that they're building that habit and they're building their confidence as they go on. I work with folks on their interviews. I help people gain recognition in their work. I help people get a better sense of how to communicate in the workplace. And I even host workshops for different employee resource groups, different organizations, nonprofits, and even hop on podcasts to help people get more of a sense of what their speaking style is and how they can address that fear of public speaking. Excellent. I'm seeing folks in finance, in language education, in biotech and pharma, in estate planning as well. So again, if you haven't started connecting with your fellow folks, fellow attendees here in the session, definitely do so. I'm always happy to see the different connections that come about from folks attending these workshops that I host. Okay, so we're going to talk about presents, and not Christmas in July presents, but the idea of that sense of what someone is giving off as a leader. So let me know, who is someone that you view who has strong presence? whether they're speaking or not. This can be someone in your life. This can be someone that you saw on the movie screen, the TV screen as well. But I would love to see some names in the comments for folks that you know who have a strong leadership presence. And if you can't think of anyone, it's totally fine. But what are some of those elements of having that strong presence? As y'all are typing that up in the chat, I see Anna, based in Pittsburgh. That's fantastic. I'm based in Pittsburgh, but at least right now, at this moment, I am in Houston, Texas. So if we have any Houstonians here today, definitely let me know in the chat. See Anna again. J-Lo, strong presence as a leader. J-Lo is not only a singer, but she's also an entrepreneur and has many different ventures. We see Lisa saying President Obama, very distinctive speaking style, not only in how he delivers, but also his content. We see Lindsay saying AOC, so Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, strong leadership presence. We're seeing from Alejandra Meryl Streep. Veronica is talking about that element of confidence, and confidence looks like a lot of different things because our confidence is as diverse as we are as professionals too. Sofia Vergara as well, strong, confident presence as well. Fantastic. I'm glad you are all thinking of folks that inspire you, that make you think of that executive presence. And of course, many of these folks are Latinas as well. And so it's often really helpful to think, if you will, of a vision board, whether it's in your head mentally or creating a vision board that you cut out from magazines or you use on Pinterest to think of who are some of the folks that I admire? What's the elements of their personality and their confidence that you want to emulate? We're seeing some more folks. So for example, Alexandra, great to see you here, Alexandra. We're seeing Oprah Winfrey. We're seeing Maria Hinojosa and Sonia Sotomayor. And I talked about Sonia Sotomayor a couple of sessions ago, so that's great. And even seeing Morgan Freeman, fantastic voice, fantastic delivery, very well known, and a sought after narrator as well. Excellent. All right, really glad to see all these examples of folks who can be really filling your vision board of how you want to inspire the room and what your presence will look like. So with that, moving from presence and moving to inspiration, I want to ask you all, what's a message that inspires you? This could be from a formal speech. This could be from a motivational speaker as well. But what's a message that has really stuck with you, either from a movie, from some type of other media, from a speech? And oftentimes, I will say, the messages that stick with us tend to be under 10 words. They tend to be very short, and that makes it so much easier to remember. So let me know, what are some messages that have inspired you? It's funny, I've talked with a lot of people recently who, for them, one of the ways that they inspire folks is they say, hey, it's like Nike, just do it. And think of the power of that message. It's only 3 words, but not only does it seek to have us move forward, to do something, to execute on something, but it also reminds us of the Nike brand. So it's very strategic messaging right there. Oh, and I see another 3 words right here from Veronica, which is sí se puede. Fantastic message, and often a message that we share within the Latina community. Fantastic. Any other messages sticking to y'all? And they can be in any language as well. Sí se puede, additionally, is a message that we can all share. It doesn't stick to only one speaker, only that one speaker. Their final message can be sí se puede. All of us can think of the stories in our lives, think of the experiences that we've had that we feel can provide support and inspire other people, maybe even inspire our younger selves, and recognize that sí se puede is as valid a message that we can share as well as other people. Oh, another message. Dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. My mom always told me that, and I see what she means more now than ever. Very powerful message. In English, tell me who you walk with or who you spend time with, and I'll tell you who you are. Look, often the ways that we hear that as well are we are the summation of the 5 people that we spend time with. So that's really important. And when I think back again to what I said about that vision boarding, who are the top 5 people that you want to emulate, that you want to get a sense of being able to use their confidence, use the different elements of their speaking, their presence to build yours as well. Si Lourdes, querer es poder. We got some philosophy over here with Alejandra, all what Albert Camus has said in Encompassed. Oftentimes, philosophy can be so intense and intelligent. It can be hard to distill, right? But often, some of the phrases that we share that become more modern phrases, that become idioms, they often come from philosophy and are just the shortened translation versions. Excellent. We'll continue including a lot more of these messages because you don't even know who you might be inspiring, who's here in this talk, who reads that message and says, you know what, this is really helping me move forward. Now, what I want to talk about next is a lot of what presence is body language, is facial expression, and is the nonverbal as well. So when I see speakers and I'm getting more of a sense, I'm giving, let's say, a speaking audit. This is something that I do for different clients, is I do an audit of their speaking and I really look at the vocal, which is how they're saying things, their delivery, the verbal, so the content, what is coming in, what is the message, for example, as well as the visual. And so the visual is what's telling me what someone's confidence level is, how they're communicating. If for some reason the sound was cut from my Zoom and I couldn't hear them, I would still get a sense of what that presentation was. And so when I'm looking at folks giving their presentations, often one of the easiest tells or the easiest hints that someone is not feeling confident is they find some way to hide themselves. Let me know if that resonates for you, and I'll highlight a few examples. So one of the most common ways is having the notes maybe kind of in front of their face, maybe covering a part of their body with their notes. Another one is wearing a really big coat or a big jacket, kind of like hiding their body in that way with their clothing. A huge one I see, especially for prepared talks, especially ones that are at a conference, at a big presentation in person, for a TED Talk, is when you see a podium and you see the person is behind the podium the entire time. So you can only really see this much of their body, and it's about the same amount that you would see from someone if they were on Zoom, for example. Let me know if that's something that you've noticed in yourself or noticed in other speakers, is that sense of hiding. How are we hiding our body, not showing our gestures, crossing our arms, and trying to, in some ways, be as small as possible to feel like we don't have as much attention on ourselves? Let me know if that's something that resonates with you. Okay, still seeing comments coming through. So it's always so wonderful to come on each Monday with Latina professionals and the community that comes here very regularly, because I just love how engaged you are. It's fantastic, and it makes me feel like this is a true conversation, even though I can't individually see all of your faces on the screen with me. Let's see, Elaine. Guilty of wearing a big comfy cardigan. That's okay. It's important to feel comfortable when we're speaking. But if you do recognize, hey, I'm thinking back, I realize I made that outfit choice specifically because I wanted to be as small as possible and not show myself, that's something to keep in mind. And it's funny, I'm seeing the word guilty come a couple of times. And when we say the word guilty, it makes it sound like we did something wrong. That we're guilty of some type of crime. And I don't think any of you are doing anything that's not natural, that is not a way that we try to protect ourselves and try to feel as comfortable as possible when speaking. That's why when I work with my clients, I really focus on not only building that speaking practice and that consistency, but also adding up the levels of pressure so that, okay, maybe I feel comfortable speaking on Zoom to the folks that I supervise, but maybe I don't feel comfortable speaking in person to a superior. Well, as we add more and more pressure in that speaking practice, the more it's easy to regulate the nervous system when we have more pressure at work. It's totally natural. It's totally normal. You don't have to feel guilty, is what I'm saying. But if that's something that you recognize in yourself, this is something that we can interrupt. We can interrupt that pattern and talk about ways how you don't have to hide yourself and you don't have to hide your message as well. Here is an example, I'll make this one a little bit bigger, of a panel of 3 different folks who are out speaking. You see that you can see their full body. You see that there's not like a big podium. There's not notes right in front of their face, which I'm not against notes. I'll let you know that. It's just really important to use them as a tool rather than use them as the complete speaking. I know another thing that people tend to hide themselves behind. I think it's the biggest thing that people tend to hide themselves behind, and that is their slide decks. I'm going to put all the information, everything I'm going to talk about, on the deck, and therefore folks can look at the deck and not have to look at me. And so we see in this example here in this panel, you can see the people fully. There isn't a dominating slide deck. There aren't notes. And what I'll say is it takes time to get to the point where you don't have the notes, you don't have the deck, you perhaps aren't wearing the oversized clothes, and you don't have the podium. That's okay. It's all step by step, and it's all skills that can be built. And I'll say that again. It's all skills that can be built. Strong public speaking isn't usually a talent that only some people have. It's a skill all of us can build and that we're building right now in this session. Now, when we think about inspiring the room, we talked about presence and we talked about messages that maybe you saw a speech, you saw a movie, you read a book, and it was months ago or even years ago, but these messages are still in your head. That is one of the key points to inspiring the room, is coming in with a message and then building up your talk around that. So talking about instant messenger here, I love a good pun and I love a good emoji for a slide deck. It's good to think about when you're planning on speaking. And public speaking isn't just the TED Talk stage. It isn't just the annual evaluation. Public speaking includes every time you speak up at a work meeting. When you go network for your company or your network but for your own career search, when you're interviewing, of course, all of these times that you're speaking up and there's someone who isn't you in the room, that is public speaking. So it's important when you know you have a speaking engagement coming up. And again, speaking engagement seems like it only has to be, oh, I'm giving a workshop or I'm on a podcast. Again, you know you're going to a meeting and you know you want to put forth a specific idea. That is just as valid public speaking. It's very important if you're using that moment to make sure that people leave with a message or they possibly feel inspired, especially if you're leading a team, is that you start with the message first and then build out what you're going to say around that central message. So I would love to play a quick game with y'all. I need as much engagement as possible in the comments for this to work out. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a couple of random images. And I don't want you to focus on what's in the image. I don't want you to focus on, oh, there's a dog in the image, or that's a bottle of vitamins. No, I want you to look at the image and think, what's a message that comes up for me? What is some type of message in 5 words, in 10 words that comes up for me? When you see the Nike swoosh, It's just do it. However, maybe you see the Nike swoosh, it's a check mark to you, and you say, X marks the spot. That's a message as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this first image. I'm going to give you some time to ponder it, and we're going to share what those messages that come to us are. Here is the first image. Make it bigger for y'all. I know there's a lot going on, but what's that first message that's coming to your mind? I know some of you might be thinking, what is that? What's there? Don't worry about that. There are a lot of elements. You can pick one element and come up with a message for it. And don't worry, you're not alone either. I'm coming up with a couple messages in my head as well. Okay, already seeing the first one from Ruth, and that is under construction. Luis, working toward the future. Zuli, safety risk. I love how short the messages are. Okay, and I'm seeing a lot related to, for example, the construction in the building. That's great. I see here from Elizabeth, building a future. Areli, getting to work. Anna, building career and working toward the future. Alain, hello everyone. No, there might have been a bit of technical difficulties here, but we're coming back. Let's get back to that next image here. Oh, moving from presence to inspiration. Quite a bit of technical difficulties. No worries, we're back here. If you already included your comment for this photo, definitely wouldn't mind if you shared it again just so I can see it. But what are some messages you can think of regarding this image? And thank you, Luis. I am back and ready to keep speaking. One thing I'm going to be talking about, this is a perfect promo actually, is in a couple weeks, I'll be giving a talk on speaking setbacks. What happens when you make mistakes or there are technical difficulties when you're speaking? So I think for any of y'all who have any specific technical difficulties, any worries about speaking and messing up, that talk would be perfect for you. So I'll definitely include that in the comments after this talk. But yeah, any other messages coming to you? Polar bear message, chill out. See, Lourdes, just naturally the topic of global warming is coming up, which is totally fair. And it's so interesting. Don't you see that we all are seeing the same image, all from our own different perspectives, all in different ways that we see literally with our eyes and our senses, and that we see through our experiences. See, Anna saying fear. There's fear in this image for her, and that's okay. And for Luis, it's being bold and ready. Perseverance even underwater. That's fantastic. For me, what I'm seeing is that breath. So it's making me think about deep breaths build confidence. Pallavi, confident even when you're drowning. See, so many messages coming up, and y'all are so creative as well. I have one more image. That's the third image in this random image generator here. And we're going to do the same thing, is come up with a message. Here we are. This one might be a bit more vague, and that's okay. It's quite different from the polar bear, I imagine. Under construction, seeing from Maria. Lourdes, innovation in construction. Pallavi, unique structure. That's very true too. All of these are true. All of your perspectives are completely true and valid here. Let's see. George Orwell's 1984. We're hidden the books. Recycled architecture, perspective, ingenuity. I know for me, I see a lot of concrete. So it makes me think of the idea of concrete action equals concrete results. And you can imagine what a message like that, what the stories can be around that. And they don't even have to be about construction. They can be about an experience where I wasn't taking action for a while. And once I did, that's when I saw the results. And you can see, you can take that single message, for example, concrete action equals concrete results, and think about a time in your life where that was the message that you learned. And I know, as I said earlier on in this talk and many, that I am so excited to connect with each and every one of you in this talk. You can feel free to connect with me directly on LinkedIn, and I'd love to hear any stories that come to you based on some of these messages as well. Oh, somebody built different. Always light at the end of the tunnel. Engineering brilliance for transportation. Use your skills to build your future. I love how I could highlight what does a message make under 10 words, something that really stands out, that's applicable, and you all were able to do that so quickly within 10 minutes. And that just excites me as a coach, because what I look for when I'm working with different clients is that sense of coachability. Is someone not only going to listen to some of the suggestions or the strategies or the time-tested experiences that I've relayed or noticed in my career, and are they going to be able to apply them in that moment? So I love that, and I love coming back week after week to this community. I want to make sure that we open up some space for Q&A. I know we're getting close to the end of the session here, so definitely leave your questions here in the chat, and I will try to answer them here live or as well as via comment. And with that, I want to highlight that the next talk I'll be sharing will be on confident networking and building meaningful connections. I've worked as a career coach for the last decade or so, and there is a strong intersection between career skills as well as public speaking skills. So I want to make sure I'm using this session to really highlight what are the public speaking and confidence aspects of networking, and what are the top strategies I've personally used to move my own career forward as someone who has earned every single role that I have applied for, or not everyone I've applied for, but everyone that I've decided and made a confirmation on, where I've gotten support through networking as well. I will let you know that not only do I speak here on Latina Professionals, but here are a couple of different speaking engagements that I'll be doing in the next month or so. So later this week, I connected with Imelda, and she is connecting me with her resource coalition, the Dallas Latino Resource Coalition. I will be speaking in person in Pittsburgh, PA through First Sip Studios. Alexandra and I connected for the Career Switch podcast, and I'll make sure to post about that podcast episode once it's dropped. And I recently connected with folks in the podcast producing with Women Who Code to talk about 3 different mindsets that hamper people's confident public speaking. So if you would like me to speak on this topic or any other topic related to public speaking and confidence in your organization or your company, definitely don't hesitate to reach out. And definitely don't hesitate to join the Latina Professionals community. There is a membership community through this organization that is fantastic and really connects folks not only to more leaders and network opportunities, but to other professional development opportunities as well. If you're looking to connect with me directly, you can connect with me at sammy@speakyall.com or speakyall.com itself, and of course, here on LinkedIn as well. But thank you so much for being part of this talk. I really hope that it's inspired you in some ways to think about how you can inspire your team, your company, and your community as well. Don't hesitate to drop any comments or questions after this talk, and I'm looking forward to answering. Alrighty, y'all. Take care.